So you've just spent 50 plus hours educating yourself about the pros and cons of starting your own rental arbitrage or rent-to-rent business, and you've decided you want to get started. Great. So what's the next step? Focus on the next 90 days and break them down into daily, weekly, and monthly tasks. Then start taking action. Hi guys, I'm Matt Harris and welcome to the HMO experience. Whether you're looking for a profitable side hustle or your next business venture, this series is all about helping you get started with a rental arbitrage or rent-to-rent business. I'm sharing what I learned from starting and scaling my own business in London, mentoring mastermind clients, and hosting the HMO Experience Property Podcast. Now that you've built up some initial knowledge around rent-to-rent, I know that you just want to get started. One thing most people fail to do at this stage is putting a plan in place, detailing what they want to achieve within the first 12 months of their business. Forward planning is a crucial step in the decision-making process about starting your rent-to-rent business, as it will help you break down your 12-month goal into actionable steps that you can take on a daily basis. This video is all about creating an action plan for your rent-to-rent business and the next step that you need to take to get your business off the ground. We're going to be covering reverse engineering, refining your approach, creating and executing a 90-day plan, focusing on taking action and not being afraid of rejection. You can also grab a free 90-day action plan template which will help you determine your goals over the next 90 days by clicking the link in the video description below. Ready? Let's jump in. We're going to have a little bit more of a deeper dive into once you've built up some knowledge, like where do you start? How do you start? What do you need to do? So we're going to have a little bit of a chat around creating a plan, what resources you use, and then sort of keeping yourself accountable and making sure that you stick to your plan.
So I'm the sort of person, maybe a bit like you, Matt, which is ready, fire, aim. Let's go. We've got the knowledge now. Let's go out and do it.
Yeah.
And Steve isn't like that. He is much more reasoned, measured, planned and structured. Steve likes an element of certainty and control. And the way to get that element of certainty and control is to literally map out step by step what to do and how to get a goal. We started by doing one training course each. Steve did a one-day training course with one provider. I did another one-day training course with a separate provider. We learned the theory, not the what and the how, but the theory about these strategies. And we both had one common goal, and that was to get job replacing income using the rent to HMO strategy too. So the first thing I want to share with you is write down what that goal is for you in the first 12 months, in the next 24 months and 36 months, but don't plan too far ahead because you've got to get to the end of year one first. So think about what that goal is, and typically it's a financial goal. Steve came in it, which was, let's just assume you want to make £10,000 a month. If that is the annual goal in the first year, £10,000 net income a month, let's work backwards. So what I would recommend you do, if you have a goal in mind, a financial goal, such as, I want to make £10,000 a month net income in the next 12 months, work back to how you're going to achieve that, because it's a very simple thing. Success is very predictable. And all you simply do is you literally follow the steps, and you do not get distracted in any way, shape or form, apart from focusing on the steps that you need to do to help you get towards the end goal. Having that accountability to Steve and him to me has also really helped. But that's how we started. We knew what to do and how to do it. We'd learned the theory by investing in some of our education, but we then had to go and create the steps, the actual steps, working backwards from the 12-month goal to literally today. Where do we start today? How was that different for you?
The initial stages, like getting some education, all that was pretty much the same. How I started with the first sort of 2 or 3 properties, I was just like, look, let me just put this stuff into practice and see how we get on. You know, I didn't plan out, I'd like to make this much a month or this much a year. Or I'd like to have this many properties or anything like that. The focus for me was, let's just get a property and let's get it cash flowing, test and measure. The approach for me was a little bit more back to front. I was just like, how many viewings can I get in a week? And how many calls do I need to make to get those viewings? And then how many of those viewings will lead to an offer, and how many of those offers will lead to property? And I just worked on the basis of, well, if I make anywhere between 50 and 100 calls a day, I'm going to get some viewings. Like, someone will say, yes, have a viewing. That was my initial approach through April and May. So I started in March 2018. I would spend maybe 3 or 4 days making anywhere between 50 and 100 calls a day, speaking with agents just to refine my patter a little bit, finding out what works and what doesn't. I was fortunate enough that throughout all of that time, did manage to get 3 or 4 viewings, which as a return was not great. I think it was about a 1% hit rate based on the number of calls I was making. But you don't make the calls, you don't put yourself in the position. And I was fortunate enough that the first viewing I had led to us taking on our first property. I've often said, oh, we're lucky because, at the first viewing, I asked a few questions of the agent, and the agent said, oh, I can show you a HMO tomorrow. But had I not made all those calls, I wouldn't have got that viewing, and I wouldn't have been put in front of that opportunity, right?
And you make your own luck, as you say. You've learned the knowledge, you've learned the theory of how to do it. You then put it into practice. You've created your plan, X number of calls per day. You've been out there pushing and promoting yourself. You've been honing and improving what you say and how you say it. And that then gave you the opportunity to go and do a viewing, and then you got a house. You've put the work in to help you get that potential result, and you've got a result, which is cool.
It wasn't until we were sort of 2 or 3 properties in that I then kind of thought, okay, so I need to build this as a business. So I need to put a little bit more structure, a bit more of a plan in place now. Why I didn't think of it from the get-go, bearing in mind that, I've been running a cleaning company for 8 or 9 years, I didn't really think about that. For me, it was after I had the education, I was just like, let me just put it into practice. Like, let me just see if it works. Books and all that are great, but actually you can read all you want. I remember listening to a podcast, Jack Canfield, I think he said that the one regret or the one thing that he would do differently was rather than read so many books, he would read fewer books but implement more. So you can read and learn and do all that as you want, but actually unless you start to implement it, it doesn't count for anything.
So many people procrastinating, worrying about getting things wrong with HMOs, they don't actually ever get started. They've learned the what and the how, but they're not actually doing anything with it because they don't want to make a mistake. So I think there's got to be a stage where you create your plan, you work backwards from that plan, and you'll get better with time. With experience and time, you'll tweak and hone and improve. In fact, I think one of the things we're going to share in the show notes is a 90-day action workbook to work down, to break down the seemingly maybe onerous task of here's my goal after 12 months. Rather than looking 12 months ahead, just do 90 days. So yes, by all means have your 12-month goal. So the example I gave earlier was £10,000 a month net income, but break it down into more manageable chunks. And in this case, 90 days. So what are you going to do in the next 90 days to help you to actually get the results that in 12 months, you'll get your 10 grand. And then once you've got your 90 days, how to work back into 30-day and then 7-day chunks. And then what are you going to do today that is a pre-prepared plan to help you move forward, create your business going forward to get the result after 90 days.
So I think planning obviously is massively important. I think I just want to pick up what you said. I think the procrastination is often something that just stops people from starting, the fear and that kind of stuff. You want to start or achieve something, you need to just go out and do it and take each day as it comes. Don't get me wrong, I didn't like making 100 calls a day, but I knew that fail fast forward. There's a great book called The Lean Startup, which says got the concept of an idea and you create your first version of it, and then you just put it out to market and get some feedback and iterate along the way. You can almost use that methodology for this. You've got your knowledge, awesome. You've built it all up. You've got a good idea as to how you want to start your business. So just start, pick up the phone, make a call a day. Cool, you've made 1 call, make 2 calls a day. Once you've made 2, make 4 calls a day. Then build up to 10 or build up to 15 calls a day, and gradually, you will get traction. You'll learn what changes you need to make and what you don't, and before you know it, you are going to get an opportunity.
So know what you want to achieve, create your plan, your goal, financial and otherwise, break that goal down to actionable steps, and as you say, then go ahead and start doing it, because you will get opportunities.
One of the important things though, and the reason why after I started and I got a little bit more education, I looked to get some guidance, was primarily around accountability, being held to account for targets or objectives that you're looking to achieve. Whether you just started up, going and looking at, 50 properties on Rightmove and then calling 20 agents off the back of those properties, or whether it's, getting your website started up, or whether it's putting an offer forward, or whatever the case may be. For me, because I started by myself, it was useful to have that sort of support and a little bit of a kick up the arse every now and again when things weren't quite going right.
The easiest person to lie to or to kid is yourself. So for example, if you haven't got the results that you want in your HMO strategy yet, and then you've got the most amazing plan, and if you've written down your 90-day actions, and have you done all those actions, the easiest person to kid is yourself. And as you said, if you need an accountability buddy or partner or mentor or whatever to get that accountability, which let's face it, most people or many people do, then that's someone or some group that you can't kid. So they're going to, hopefully, if they're any good, they're going to call you out on it. And it's only to do it for your own benefit. It's not to make them feel good or superior. It's because you've committed to them, to working with them to help you get results. It's to benefit you. When you're just starting out and creating a plan, it might feel a bit onerous. You're going to do so many calls or viewings or whatever, but that's the reality about getting success in anything in property. It's very much a people person. You can't be just on your laptop trying to do deals. That doesn't necessarily work. You've got to be out there. You've got to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And you've shared that when you first started, you did a bunch of calls each day. You set yourself targets, and you might not have got, 1% conversion rate. Doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound great. And therefore you might ask yourself, well, what's the point? But you shared with me how you've had a couple of calls recently from some of those agents who said no to you 18 months ago. Like, no, get off, I'm not interested. Who've now come to you and saying, we've got some opportunities. Do you want to take those on board? What I would definitely stress is if you've got a plan, if you know what your goal is and you've got the plan to go and achieve that, don't think because your conversion rate isn't some huge number, very successful, week 1 or 2 or month 1 or month 2, just because you might not be getting the responses or the reaction you want in the numbers that you want it, don't ever think it's wasted time or effort. Because Matt mentioned something really cool, which is consistency. Just do whatever you can consistently, day in, day out, and you will get opportunities. They may come to you like they have done with you, Matt, 18 months later, but you will get opportunities. As soon as you stop or you try and do too much at the beginning, then you fizzle and burn out and get demotivated or give up. That's when the opportunities definitely stop too.
One of the main reasons I think people reluctant to do certain things is because you're going to be told no. No is an inevitable part of this process. If you're prepared to receive no's, then I think you're able to deal with the reaction a lot better, because a 1% conversion rate on over 1,000 calls is not great. By the same token, I kept going because I thought, well, it might be a no right now. As you said, 18 months later, it turns into a yes. Just get comfortable with the no, because it makes you become a little bit more creative to find a way around that no, or to find out why it's a no right now, but could it be a yes at some stage in the future?
I think it's a great point, because it's not just this business, it's everything we do. Whether it's property or elsewhere in life, you're going to get no's or people who disagree with you, and it's that resilience to keep going.
You've now got the tools to create your 90-day action plan, and one of the actions on your list should be finding your first rent-to-rent property deal. I can already feel you tense up with fear as the thought of having to speak to estate agents crosses your mind. Don't worry, in this video right here, I give you 7 tips which will help you get your first rent-to-rent property deal. Make sure you check that out. In the meantime, don't forget to download your free 90-day action plan template, and please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.